An epic tour that covers the North and the South Island over the next 4 weeks is already underway with so much energy behind it. Kicking off with the Allied Petroleum Hampton Downs International here in the mighty Waikato, where world-class motorsport meets world-class adventure, nature, cuisine and wellness, all just minutes from the track here. Lots of great reasons to come and explore one of New Zealand's fastest growing regions. Kia ora everybody, Greg Russ with you along with Brianna Crean and Ronan Murphy this morning for day 2 of the Repco NextGen NZ Championship, round 2 of the season, and the sun, the mighty weather here in New Zealand is playing its part. Met Service telling us we are headed today for highs of 30 degrees. It feels every bit of that right now, with westerly winds of about 17 k's an hour kicking in at lunchtime today. We're about to go qualifying, second time in the 4 weeks straight for the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Championship. I'm done with all the infomercials at the top there. Welcome to you. This is awesome. We might have one less round in the overall offering this year, but no less action, no less stuff to look forward to.
Yeah, morning Rusty, morning everybody, morning Ronan. Yeah, so super exciting. We've got 4 weekends straight, back-to-back racing, but 15 races that these drivers have to wrap their head around as we travel around New Zealand for this championship. There is so much to play out over the next couple of weeks, and that will all culminate with the final at the Napa New Zealand Grand Prix at the end of January. As we saw yesterday, this thing is on from the get-go.
And the new learning, Ronan, is push to pass, a great innovation for the 2026 series here. It does mean some learnings for the teams and the drivers, and the officials have been busy overnight with 5 drivers penalised for usage when you're not meant to.
Yeah, unfortunately, 5 drivers were looked into, most notably our race 1 winner, Louis Sharp, local boy from yesterday. And yeah, the drivers looked to defend their position. Obviously, there were some questions asked around the situation, and they wanted to seek some clarity. As it stands, the penalties have upheld. So Louis Sharp received 2 penalties, so 30 seconds for activating push to pass yesterday when it shouldn't have been. And yeah, he will be, I was talking to him last night, and he'll be looking to try and make back the lost ground, and he's laser focused, and he'll be one to watch today.
I reckon the final part of what you said there is dead set true. He's just climbed into the car literally over our shoulder moments ago. The preparation out the back as he was kind of limbering up, getting ready to jump in the car, he has the eyes on this morning to bounce back from this scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. He went from leading that championship after the first day to now P4, and it's very, very early days in this series, but if you can come away from the first round at the top of that championship, that is huge news. And there's more learnings throughout the category as well. We've got 2-time world rally champion Kalle Rovanperä here on his debut in tarmac racing, in a car, in a single-seater. So huge learnings for him as well as supercars driver Ryan Wood. He's on debut in single-seater racing as well. So lots of drivers just trying to wrap their head around all these things that they need to do.
Toughest and silliest question in motorsport media, who is your pick in this? Because it is genuinely so tough. The 2026 season, the roll-up we have here, there's some seriously good drivers.
There's the talent in this field is undisputed. It's incredible to see the level, and from across the globe, including locally. It's hard not to back my boys, Louis Sharp and Ryan Wood. I think based on how they drove yesterday, we saw some incredible passes from Woody. He was throwing it around the outside, the inside, and I think he had a few people spooked.
It is a class field of internationals, but the Antipodeans are really putting their best foot forward here. So much to look forward to as we get set to go qualifying. Time to join our commentators, headed up by Richard Crail, who you'll know from the Bathurst 12 Hour, and alongside him, Andrew Waite. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Rusty Ree and Ronan down there in a bright and sunny pit lane here at Hampton Downs for the Allied Petroleum Hampton Downs International. Beautiful conditions, just on 22 degrees at the moment, basking in bright sunshine, not a breath of wind either. The flagpoles with the 11 different nationalities in this Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Trophy field represented. They are still, there's no headwind, no tailwind. It's a 15-minute shootout for qualifying, Andrew Waite, at a venue yesterday that provided a whole heap of action. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Richard Crail. It's fantastic to be here, and yeah, what a day yesterday, the way it all built it. As we had a look at the track map for the moment, and track length is 3.8 kilometres, one of the longest tracks on our calendar for the 4 rounds. Very, very technical section from turn 2 all the way up through to turn 7. It's where a lot of lap time is gained or lost, especially through turn 6 and 7 there. Super bumpy through that part of the track, so really, really hard to be consistent. So as we see all the cars out on the track now getting ready for their qualifying session. These first couple of laps especially, you're just going to see them slowly build into it. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the quicker laps nearly a lap earlier today because of that extra track temperature. Everything's going to come up that little bit earlier. So there's sort of two ways to attack that. Do you lower your tyre pressures to still get the gain on the same lap the tyre's working well, or do you bring it up to get it that lap earlier? And that's why there's a lot of very, very talented engineers in pit lane working with these very talented drivers to work out where they're going to get the optimal in terms of lap times. And what we'll probably see throughout the session as well, a bit like yesterday, is we'll see that the cars go for a quick lap and then they'll most likely do a cool down and then go again. And the tyre seems that good, this Pirelli tyre, that they're able to go again and still get a quick lap, which is quite unusual for this style of racing with the slick.
We're looking at the number 8 car of young American from Colorado, Trevor Latourette. He had a little moment coming out of his garage and just brushed the pit wall, actually, as he was turning out. These cars don't have a lot of steering lock, so unless you're angled out well, you can get the car turned out of your garage. Sometimes you can go a little bit wide. We understand no damage to this car, and it was very, very gentle rub. We actually saw it out the commentary box window looking down on the pit lane here at Hampton Downs. Beautiful vantage point at this circuit. So slight little rub. We should work you through the qualifying format in this championship. We had a 15-minute qualifying session this time yesterday morning. That set the grid for race 1. Race 2 in the afternoon was a reverse top 8 of the finishing order of race 1, and boy oh boy did it provide an absolutely cracking race. And you can go back and watch that on our YouTube channels as well. Well worth a watch in the gap between this session and race 3 a little bit later on. The race 3 grid is set by the combined fastest lap times from races 1 and 2. This qualifying session will set the grid for the feature race, the Dorothy Smith Trophy race this afternoon here at Hampton Downs. So it's the big money race of the weekend. It's the feature race of the weekend with the biggest trophy. That's what this 15-minute qualifying session will determine.
Yeah, it's still weaving out down the straights there, getting that tyre temp up. Nice, easy wheeze. You don't want to be braking traction, forcing the tyre too hard at this point, just taking your time. And at least now a lot of these drivers have had that qualifying yesterday to really understand what the tyre does, how to get the most out of it. So it's such an important phase of building this tyre in correctly rather than shocking it early and getting too much out of it too soon. So the experienced drivers, obviously they've done a lot of this back in their championships overseas, or for some of the guys like Zach Scola who did the championship last year, he knows exactly how to phase that tyre in. And then there's a lot of guys that have never done this before, so they're all learning at the same rate, trying to figure it out and get the absolute most out of it. So it's quite a hard thing to do as well, is to phase that tyre in, because you sort of feel like there's grip there, you want to have a go, but then you don't want to go too early. So there's so much going on in your head, and you're trying to make sure you got enough gap, you're not too close to the cars in front. Hang on, is the guy in front of me, was he quicker than me yesterday? I don't want to catch him too fast. So there's all these sort of things that you're thinking about, and then at the same time, you're piecing together in your head the areas that you need to improve on as a driver, because overnight you do all your homework, you work out where I'm losing time compared to my other competitors. So you're thinking about all these things on your outlet. You're not just driving around going, oh, I'm just going to wait for a tyre. There's so much going on in a driver's head at this point while they're phasing the tyre in.
Watching car 27, young Louis Slater, and that exit of turn 1 proved challenging in yesterday's race, because or Freddie Slater, I should say, because there were several drivers who ran wide on the outside of the corner there, and it cost them momentum. Ryan Wood was one of them while he was battling for a spot on the podium in race 2 yesterday. Qualifying session yesterday morning, Ugo Ugashokwu grabbed pole position by 7/1000ths of a second over Louis Sharp. It was incredibly close between them, 15 cars covered by a second. Remarkably competitive, and you feel like after a day's worth of learning, a day's worth of knowledge, as Slater's car tries to swap in through the double B at turn 6 and turn 7, and as a result he's run right off the road, and that is going to be very, very costly on what was potentially a build lap before starting a push lap to set a fast lap time, because they are starting to get some energy into the sector times at the moment.
That was a big moment through there. At that point in the track where he lost the rear of the car, you can't actually see where the track's going from there. So it would have certainly caught him off guard. You're just sort of starting to clear the brake at that point, and right at the same time, the track's starting to go off camber a little bit. It's getting bumpy at that point, so very, very easy mistake to make.
Quickest lap time so far, Ugo Chukwu at 1 minute 35.1. That's still 5 seconds plus slower than where they'll qualify. In fact, they'll go quicker than that. A 1 minute 29.3 was yesterday's pole time. Ugo's just done a 29.8 on his first flying lap, his first real push lap of the session. Zach Skula goes to second position and Ernesto Rivera in third. We talked about how deep this field is and 11 different nationalities represented. Amazing that day one we should leave with 2 Kiwi winners.
Yeah, no, we'll take that for sure. As you see, the number 14, Cooper Shipman, same sort of issue, gone wide at the double B there. And we're certainly starting to see some quick lap times early on in the session. A bit like what we're talking about, there's that bit more heat today, so the tyre comes on earlier, wanting to make the most out of it just that bit earlier as well. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them keep tumbling nice and early. By this point in the session yesterday, they were still building in. They were still getting the most, you know, of that phase and cycle.
Young Japanese driver Jin Nakamura in car number 12 for High Tech. He's second in the championship after day one, 3 points behind Ugo Chukwu. Really good start for him, a 5th and a 2nd in the opening 2 races of the championship. And both of the high-tech cars in that GR livery and the high-tech silver were very effective yesterday. Kanato Lee was rapid throughout all of yesterday. Unfortunately, some contact meant his front wing was damaged in race 2, so he elected to go to pit lane. They replaced the wing, they put new tyres on, and he went very, very quickly at the end of that race. And as a result, the fastest laps from yesterday's races mean the young Japanese driver is going to start from 2nd position in race 3 this morning. He's 4th right now as Ernesto Rivera goes to 2nd place. Louis Sharp 4th. Freddie Slater recovering from that moment at the double Bs at turn 6 and 7 is 4th. Ugo Chukwu is still quickest and pressing on again. Purple first sector means quickest of anybody in the session so far.
So for Ugo Chukwu there, that's a pretty dominant start to the session. He's sort of constantly about 3/10 quicker, as Kanato Lee actually drops into position number 2 as well. So certainly Ugo Chukwu there, he's very, very quick at this point in the session for sure.
So good lap for Lee, goes to 2nd position, just 0.1 of a second behind, 29.5 the benchmark lap time. James Wharton has jumped up to 3rd place. Nolan Alla up to 7th, the American. Martini sponsored car, beautiful looking race car. Impossible to get a Martini livery wrong on a race car.
Always looks good, doesn't it? As Chukwu there does his fastest 2nd sector as well. He is on an absolute blinder, another 1/10 of a second quicker in sector number 2. This lap is looking super fast for him once again. I reckon this is going to be near a low 29.
1 minute 29.52 to beat. He's only got to beat himself, and he all but matches his lap time from yesterday. In fact, he goes a couple of hundredths quicker, 29.331 for the American. So he goes to the top and remains at the top now and extends the margin to 0.3 of a second.
So this is going to be the interesting part. I can see he's rolled out of it now. He's gone that bit slower. Give the tyres a breather, cool them off a bit, and then he'll have another go at it once again. As Freddie Slater's just done the fastest 3rd sector, so he's starting to come on a bit more now too.
Yeah, so his middle sector was quite slow, but his final sector was quickest of anybody, which sort of indicates he's going to be on a push lap this time by. So let's keep an eye out for the Brit in car number 27. Should be flying.
Yeah, it's sort of going to take him a bit longer to phase into this one. Just obviously with that mistake earlier in the session. As a driver, it does knock your confidence just that little bit. I know these guys are some of the best young drivers in the world, but either way, you've just had that moment. So it is in the back of your mind. You're thinking about it, what's just happened through that part of the track. So he's just trying to find his rhythm again with the fastest last sector there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him start moving up a bit more as the session goes on.
James Wharton to 4th place, the Aussie. Good lap. 1 minute 29.81, and he's just starting a push lap now too. Nolan Alla's banged out 2 very good laps. He went 8th, and now he's gone to 6th with a 1 minute 29.87. Indy Next driver from the US of A. Big improver over the course of yesterday as well. Flew under the radar a little bit across the first 2 races. Ugo Chukwu is still quickest by 0.3 of a second. Quite a margin when you consider that qualifying yesterday he grabbed pole by 0.007. 7 thousandths of a second. So 3/10 is a huge margin in the category. You go down to 15th place at Theo McLaughlin. They are all within 1 second of Ugo Chukwi's quickest lap time so far.
You certainly look at that lead that Ugo Chukwi's got at the moment, though, 0.3 of a second. That's a massive gap when you start looking a bit further down, when you got the next few cars just separated by only 1/10 of a second. He's certainly got a pretty healthy margin as he's just started another lap again. His first sector, more or less a little bit slower than his best lap to this point, as we wait for him to come up towards the second sector as well on our timing screen. Is Warden there? He's about to come over the start-finish line. He's had his best second sector. Is he about to finish it off and go a little bit further ahead as he comes across the start-finish line? His best lap, but it hasn't changed his position.
He improved his best lap by about 100th of a second. Personal best middle sector, didn't quite nail the final sector, probably cost him. He remains 4/10 of a second away on the outside of the second row, and Ugo Chukwi is going on with it again. Purple middle sector, fastest of anybody. He is showing a dominant hand this morning in qualifying 2 for CTFROT. Kanato Lee in second, Louis Sharp in third position and looking strong, but qualified second yesterday. He's currently 4th in the championship after the first 2 races. He's car number 4, across the line, and improves again. 1 minute 29.224, and takes the margin out to 0.4 of a second. This is a dominant qualifying performance.
Yeah, that is a massive, massive gap for Ugo Chukwi there.
Ernesto Rivera goes to second position, 1 minute 29.6. Still 4/10 of a second away, but a very good lap.
See, something started clicking for him a bit more today. He's sort of been there or thereabouts, but he certainly stepped it up a bit more today, sitting there in position number 2. As we see our timing screen now, a lot of green sectors starting to pop up. These lap times are going to start tumbling even more over the last minute and a half remaining of the session.
They are too, because Jin Nakamura's gone to second. Rivera was second 10 seconds ago. He's now 5th, beaten by Kanato Lee and Louis Sharp, who was second for the briefest of moments and then got tumbled down the order. Rivera, the youngest driver in the field, just 17 years of age, the Mexican for M2 competition. Wharton again couldn't improve, remains in 6th position. But Lee's on a good lap, Louis Sharp is on a good lap. Personal best first sectors for the Japanese driver and the Kiwi respectively. Ryan Wood 7th, Freddie Slater the Brit in 8th position, Alla 9th, and Rovan Pera with a great recent lap goes into the top 10 in car number 69 for High Tech, 1 minute 29.8. He's only 6/10 away from pole. He's only 4/10 away from the front row of the grid.
That is super impressive for Kalle Rovan-Pera to be up in 10th position at the moment with 30 seconds remaining in this session. These are the moments that we're talking about that we're going to be seeing from him. That massive rate of improvement is starting to happen.
Car number 19, the high-tech entry is Kanato Lee, young Japanese driver. In fact, those 2 entries, car 12 and 19, are second and third at the moment. Powerhouse team from the open wheel junior ranks all the way up to FIA Formula 2. Ollie Oak's squad has been powerful for such a long time and responsible for the careers of so many fast young drivers as the checkered flag flies at the end of qualifying. Can anyone beat Ugo Chukwi? I don't think they can, because he's had such a big margin over the field in this one as Nakamura goes to second.
Kalle Rovan-Pera up to P6.
Wow.
That is a massive effort by him. Got it all together on that last lap. That is huge. Only half a second away from pole. Great lap by him.
Nolan Alla has been shuffled down to 10th. He was 6th about 5 minutes ago. Less than that, in fact. So he's still on a good lap right at the end of the session. Is there an opportunity for him to jump up? He does. He goes back to 6th position. Good lap for the Giles Motorsport driver. 1 minute 29.6. But Ugo Chukwi is going to get his second pole position of the CTFROT season, and he's going to get it by a big margin of 0.2 of a second. There are 16 cars, correct myself, 17 cars covered by less than 1 second. It is ferociously close on this grid. But Ugo Chukwi is going to get pole again. Here's Zach Skula. He's down in 11th position, race 2 winner. And there's some improvement. He climbs up the order and gets to 7th. So he'll get himself on the inside of the 4th row of the grid. But he'll have some work to do in the race. Only 0.4 of a second away from pole position as Freddie Slater jumps up the order. So Rovan Pera has been hustled down to 9th place right at the end there, despite setting his quickest lap on his final tour.
Louis Sharp's just popped up another number as well. He's up into 3rd place.
Yeah, gee, needed that, didn't he?
Yeah, he was in 4th, so he managed to gain 1 more position. That shows how tight it is between these guys. And again, that Pirelli tyre just proving itself once again, just getting better and better, and these lap times tumbling as the session goes on.
So Louis Sharp, who opened his account so superbly in a really tense race with Ugo Chukwu in race 1 yesterday, got the jump from the outside of the front row. We should talk about that a little bit as well while they all come back into pit lane, because the driver that started 2nd in both races yesterday didn't just win, but they led basically into turn 1. So it seems at the moment there's an advantage in starting on the outside of the front row. Here's your qualifying results. Intense session, but comfortable through it all. At one point had 0.4 of a second over the field, ended up being 0.2, and a 2nd pole position for the American driver who grabs pole. Jin Nakamura in 2nd, Louis Sharp next, and Kanato Lee in 4th. Rivera P5, he's going to be exciting to watch today because he's off the front row for race 3. Nolan Alla's been impressive. Zach Skula, Freddie Slater, Kalle Rovanperä inside the top 10, and James Wharton rounding out that 10 with Ryan Wood 11th, qualified on the 2nd row of the grid and 3rd row of the grid for yesterday's races. Seb Manson, Yuan Po Chue in 13th, Theo McLaughlin, Jack Taylor, Yvonne David, Cooper Shipman, Ricardo Baptista and Trevor Latourette rounding out the 19 cars, and Trevor's continuing to improve and get better and better in every session. This guy's got a pair of pole positions to his credit. Pole for race 1, and he'll start the feature race this afternoon on pole position as well, leading the championship going into races 3 and 4. This has been a very, very productive moment for the driver of car number 4.
It certainly has, and 2.5 tenths is a fair old gap, really, back to P number 2. When you look at from 2nd down to 6th place, there's about 1.5 tenths between those guys. So it's a pretty dominant pole position there by Ugo Chukwu.
Simon Poole from Pirelli, the control tyre supplier for Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Trophy, and some congratulations from the M2 competition team. They got beaten by their rivals at M-Tech yesterday, so they'd like some revenge today. 2 of the most storied outfits in this competition, and Ugo's down in Allied Petroleum Victory Lane, and very shortly we'll hear from this quite quietly spoken, reserved driver who's from New York. Fascinating family story behind the scenes as well, and looking forward to seeing what he can do today after a really solid start to his championship campaign. 43 points, a 2nd and a nice solid P5 in race 2, the reverse top 8 affair yesterday.
Quiet and reserved, but you can sense the focus at the same time, can't you? He knows what he needs to do for this championship. Rusty.
We're down here in Allied Petroleum, I should say, Victory Lane. Ugo Chukwu, that was mighty. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a really good quality overall. Obviously, yesterday went well, so obviously I was confident coming into this morning, but today was even better. Pace was even stronger. We had a even bigger gap throughout the session. So yeah, I knew I just needed to get a clean lap in, and we would have been good enough for pole.
Give us a sense of what gave you that confidence. Warmer conditions today here at Hampton Downs. Is it just another day of learning? Where did that come from?
Yeah, hard to say specifically, but definitely was feeling at one with the car. Yeah, I think another day on the track as well. You know, always fine-tuning the driving and stuff. But yeah, super happy to get another pole position.
Should be. Stay with us here. We've got a trophy presentation for you very shortly. Let's go to 2nd position in qualifying. Jin Nakamura from Japan. Congratulations. It was busy toward the end there, wasn't it?
Yeah, thank you so much. But to be honest, my lap are not very good. I had some mistakes. Yeah, I could be improving even more. But I mean, I'm happy to be here.
I think take the positive, Jin. You spoke in a very similar manner yesterday. It must be small increments. Where can you find those little bits that you're talking about?
Yeah, we found some, I would say, issues from yesterday, some balance and my driving. So I could improve, but it was not enough. So we will find and analyze for race 3.
Your front row for the feature is awesome. Congratulations. We'll have a special trophy for you shortly. Louis Sharp, man, right at the very end, you jump up into P3. Well done, you dug deep.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad session, to be honest. I think, you know, from yesterday we knew we had the pace, but I think a few of the other boys kind of turned it up a little bit today. So not quite as close as what we want to be, but still a massive thank you to the team. And I think, you know, we've got a really smart group of people around us. So I think we'll push hard and work some things out and hopefully bridge the gap a little bit in the racing.
We've covered off what happened overnight, obviously from a judicial standpoint, I guess. How important to put that in the rearview mirror, just regather, go hard today? Yeah,
look, obviously a bit of a misunderstanding on my point of view, but as you said, just need to not focus on that now. I think at least to happen now at the start of the season and not, you know, in 4 rounds time when the championship's on the line. So he's got to forget about that now and just use it as extra motivation to go out there and do well in the races today.
Great approach, well done on P3 in qualifying. Let's move now to our presentation for qualifying, session 2, qualifying 2 for the Castrol Toyota Formula Regional Oceania Trophy for this afternoon's feature race. We're delighted to be joined by Josh Greenland, the category manager for CTFROT. The Toyota Financial Services Pole Position Trophy, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, goes to Ugu Ukashukwu from the United States and M2 competition. How about putting your hands together? So, bit to come out of that qualifying session and a huge day coming your way here as a part of the Repco NextGen NZ Championship. Wherever you've been tuning in right around the world here on our YouTube channel, we hope you've enjoyed it. If you're watching in Australia, of course, we invite you to join us on Fox Sports and KO a little later today. Check your guides for that, of course, and on our live and local friends from Sky Sport New Zealand. For all of the team, we'll catch you for a big day of racing a little later here at Hampton Downs.